In this video, we're going to be going over 5 advanced tips to win more solo gunfights within Apex Legends. We'll be going over the top 5 things that you need to know if you want to win more solo gunfights and even just regular gunfights within Apex Legends. I'll probably make a separate video talking about regular gunfights I already did. I might make another one, but this video is specifically going to be going over 5 advanced pro tips to win more solo gunfights within Apex Legends. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Sit back, relax. I got the notes all on my phone. I'm finally going to be starting to script videos. But if you're new here, new to the channel, please feel free down below to subscribe with the bell notification on so you never miss another Apex Legends video. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So coming in, guys, at our number 1 spot here, the first thing that you need to know within Apex Legends in order to win more solo gunfights, and for some reason people don't know this yet, and it's kind of basic and kind of obvious, but when you knock someone, right, when you're shooting at an enemy and you're fighting alone, even if you're just fighting an enemy in general, you can see which type of armor that they have on by showing a little armor symbol, as well as it'll show which color their armor is as well. You can turn this on in the settings. You know, some people turn off damage numbers. I personally like to keep damage numbers on, as well as you can control it in the settings to see which armor, as well as show the armor that the enemy has on when you're shooting at them. Now, where this tip shines and where this tip comes in handy is when you kill that enemy, you'll know which type of armor they have and if they have armor or not. And what you can actually do is, if you manage to get shot at and potentially lose some armor bars, instead of sitting there with a shield cell, what you should actually do, and what I would recommend doing, is say if you kill someone with a blue armor on and you have a blue armor but your blue armor is fully broken, instead of using a shield battery to recover all 3 pieces of your blue armor or just 3 shield cells, what you can actually do is go quickly into the enemy's loot box before you fight the other 2 people of his squad. Then you're going to go ahead and pick up his blue armor, and if you actually pick up an enemy's armor, it will respawn on your body with full armor penetration shield. Most people know this already. I've known this ever since I played the game, but for some reason I've seen it time and time again when I'm playing with randoms. They have no clue you can do this. Even if you just pick up a random armor piece off the ground, it still will spawn in with full shield. The only exception is if you pick up a teammate's broken armor, it will not actually spawn with full shield. Now this can go 2 ways. You know, if a teammate drops an armor shield if it's broken, so say I had blue armor and it was broken and I dropped it for a full blue armor, if my teammate goes into that death stash and picks up that blue armor that I once dropped, it will still be broken. But if my teammate dies and I go in and pick up that blue armor, it will actually be regenerated. Super useful tip. I bet you some of you guys didn't actually know that, maybe about the teammate one. Some of you guys probably did. It's super handy. I've won numerous gunfights by sacrificing myself. You know, even if you have to sacrifice yourself just to go in for the armor, you know, maybe even place a race portal, maybe place an Octane launch pad to get out of there quickly, or even a Pathfinder zipline. But if you can go in and sacrifice yourself just for the armor, you will be so much more on top in your gunfights because you will have full armor basically after every single fight. And if you can manage to find a gold armor piece, you know, you can go for the execution and get free shield from that too. It's super useful. I would honestly recommend doing it. And that was a very long first tip, but guys, pick up armor, turn on armor damage numbers. Now the second piece of advice here, I'm actually going to make a full-on in-depth separate video on, but I'm just going to talk about it very, very basically and very shortly here, and it has to do with advanced movement tips and advanced movement strategies. The best decision that I've ever made in Apex Legends was switching from toggle to crouch on hold to crouch. It might seem very weird at first, and in your gunfights it might seem very awkward because when you're aiming down, you're going to have to push down on the thumbstick the whole time when you're crouched, which is kind of weird at first. You're going to, the extra tension on the thumbstick might be very awkward when you're aiming and you might miss a lot of shots at first, but once you get it down, it feels so nice. Now that's just only part 1 to this tip. Obviously, because if you do the slide or the hold to crouch, you will be able to slide hop. Slide hopping is in this. If you can, I would slide hop whenever you have to heal. So say you're in the middle of the open, you have some damage and this enemy's firing at you, slide hop out of there, but also do like a slide hop strafe so that you can A, get the heal off while moving faster, and B, dodge those bullets by doing slide hopping. I'm going to make a whole separate video on advanced movement tactics, but some of them that I have here are sprint stopping, slide hopping, which I recently just talked about, strafing, which is probably the most basic, jump shotting, crouch shotting, as well as jump strafe shotting, I guess you can say. So for the sprint stop, what you're going to want to do is say you're in the middle of the open and you're sprinting towards a doorway. Instead of just running straight towards the doorway where the enemy can just simply beam you while you're running across there, because it's pretty basic if you're just going to be running straight, what you want to do is you're going to make the enemy think you're going to be running towards the doorway. So if you're running towards the doorway, what you're going to want to do is stop and then jump. So instead of just stopping and turning, or moving backwards, instead, like if you were to strafe, what you're going to want to do is, say if you're running towards that doorway, you're going to stop in your tracks, instant stop, and then you're going to jump and quickly turn and get these shot on the enemy. Because chances are their sights are still going to be going towards the doorway, because they're going to try and predict that you're going towards the doorway. But instead of you going towards that doorway, you're going to stop, jump, and shoot straight at the enemy, and you're going to knock them down. I can guarantee you that. Like, I can guarantee you 99% their sights are still going to be going towards the doorway. So trust me when I say that. Sprint stopping is probably one of the most useful. Strafing is just moving side to side in a gunfight. There's also slide rushing, so you can just slide straight at an enemy. Strafe hopping is pretty obvious. It's kind of just like a jump shot, but to like the side. It makes it a lot harder. It's basically an advanced strafe, as well as strafe crouching. It's pretty obvious as well. I'll make way more in-depth videos on advanced movement guides and advanced movement tips in Apex Legends on how to, dodge more bullets and stuff like that. But trust me when I say this, guys, you're going to want to use these advanced movement tips when you're in a gunfight, because 99% of the time, some of the people that you're going to be fighting against are either good players or just absolute bots who are just going to stand still, or maybe all they'll do is strafe. Most people just know the strafe, so if you can get these different tricks in your bag, you'll be a lot better off in Apex Legends when you're playing most gunfights, especially if you're a solo player. But guys, look out for that video. It should be coming out very, very soon. Next advanced tip that I have to win more solo gunfights in Apex Legends is to bait squads or wait for members from individual squads. So the last part of that kind of sounded a little bit weird, but what I mean by that is, instead of straight up going for the whole squad all by yourself, what you're going to want to do is kind of be like a little bit of an assassin. You're going to want to kind of silently approach the squad from the behind, or maybe so that they can't see you. Obviously, if you get spotted by the squad, you're done. Your whole solo game might be over. It's going to be a little bit harder, but you're going to use cover, mantle over cover, get on top of buildings, hide behind stuff in Skull Town and wherever you are, and you're going to want to try and bait each individual member from that squad. It's not going to be as easy as just, they're all three going to be standing there and one of them is going to come at you at a time. You're going to want to try and peek them so that you knock one member of the squad first. So instead of shooting at all three members individually, say there's a Wraith, Lifeline, and a Pathfinder, and you've already got 50 damage in on the Wraith. Obviously, you're not going to want to try to go for the Lifeline or the Pathfinder. What you're going to want to try and do is bait the Lifeline and the Pathfinder towards you while the Wraith goes and heals, and you're going to want to try and sneak around them so that the Wraith and the Lifeline and the Pathfinder won't be able to find you, and you'll go up straight behind the Wraith and you'll get the simple kill. It's honestly just like chess. It's so hard to explain. I'll make a separate video on this too, honestly, but if you can just bait squads out by yourself and just bait them out so that you pick them off one by one instead of just going for the whole squad at once, it is so much easier to win solo gunfights, guys. I'm being dead serious here. I've won so many final squads and got the solo win all by myself just by doing this, and trust me, it honestly works incredible. So baiting squads and individual members from the squad is the best way to go about full squad kills within Apex Legends. Now the next tip I actually got, I didn't actually know this. When I first started playing the game, I would do this all the time, but as I got more confident in my gun skills, I just didn't want to use the time to throw them. But the next tip that I have for you guys here is to bring a ton of ordinances to the battle. And I mean, it seems very obvious, but for some reason it didn't for me. Because if you think about it logically, an ordinance or a grenade in Apex Legends, if you're fighting a solo battle, is kind of like a second teammate in a way. Now, hear me out here. Obviously, it's not a separate teammate, but what it does is you can trap enemies and bottleneck them with your different ordinances. So say you're going to bring 4 thermite grenades to a gunfight, and they're trapped in a building. Maybe what you could do is trap them in that building by throwing a thermite at either entrance so that they're trapped in that building, and then baiting them out with arc stars to try and guard their movement. Or maybe even frag grenades, because if you're trying to fight a full squad by yourself and you can manage to get 2 grenades on the squad, they're pretty much done. 1 or 2 of the squad members are pretty much going to die, and you wouldn't even have to shoot a single bullet at them. Like, 99% of the squad is gonna die just because you threw something at them, man. Like, you won't even have to shoot them. You'll maybe even get them very, very low and shoot them like once into the chest with the Peacekeeper, and there you go, the whole squad is knocked. So instead of having to, you know, shoot more bullets into the squad and risk showing yourself more, you're gonna want to try and reduce the amount of gunfights that you get into by using ordinances from your inventory, because the more that you reduce the risk of you getting shot at, the easier your chances of winning gunfights will be, quite obviously, as well as winning games. So bring as much ordinances as you can. I recommend bringing 2 of each, maybe 4 fire stars and 4 arc stars. It's honestly whatever you guys prefer, though. I personally love fire stars, thermite grenades, my bad, and arc stars are probably my favorites, but the frag grenade is pretty good as well. And who knows, I also did make a video on it. We should hopefully be seeing new ordinances come into the game. They said 2 new ordinances in Season 1, so hopefully we see some more ordinances come within Season 1. Now the last tip, the 5th advanced pro tip to win more solo gunfights in Apex Legends, has to do with easily winning the end game. So it might just be you and 2 other squads left. So 3 full squads left, and it's just you on your whole team, and you're like, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to win this because there's 2 other squads left. My friend, I think you're honestly just stressing too much. It's not as complicated as it seems. So the old classic trick in the book for winning battle royale games is to third party, but for this tip you want to know when and how to third party. So obviously if you hear 2 teams gunfighting, you're gonna try and run over there, and 99% of the time you're just going to join in when there's still those 3 squads left, and it's just going to be one big firefight between the 3 squads. I would say that's a good idea, but honestly it generally isn't. The best time that I would say to third party a squad is right after the gunfight has finished and that other squad is either reviving their players, looting the bodies, picking up ammo, or either out of ammo, so before they actually pick up their ammo, and before they actually heal. So right once you hear those squads die and you hear those death boxes hit the ground, that's when you want to engage in the gunfight, and that's when you want to try and get into the last squad. So right once you see that 3 squads left tick down to 2 squads left, I just knocked my mic by the way, I'm sorry about that, you're going to want to immediately go straight in there and try and get those final squads down. This works with any single squad wipe as well if you're a solo squad. Third partying is massive when you're just playing as a solo squad by yourself, and just trust me when I say this, once you learn how to third party in Apex Legends, the game just becomes light work. It is so easy to be able to third party people in this game once you know, and just to be able to win more games by it. But trust me when I say this, the less work you can do while you're playing with squads or by yourself in Apex Legends, the better. But yeah guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll be back onto the upload grind so much now. I love recording videos. I cannot wait for it. But yeah, one final tip guys, just the biggest thing, I cannot stress it enough in this video, the one thing I want you guys to take away from this if you're doing solo squads, make sure the best way to win solo games in Apex Legends, solo squad games I should say, the less gunfights that you can get into with the enemies actually seeing you. Obviously don't just play like a camper, that's just boring. I would not advise playing like a camper at all. But like, if you can use ordinances, if you can third party, and if you got proper map control down, trust me, it's gonna be so much easier to win games just by that tip alone. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe down below. I'll see you guys soon for another video. I'm so passionate about Apex Legends. But yeah, thank you guys, like I said again. See you guys later. Adios amigos.